The first attempt in 1878 failed. And I would expect there are probably some in this room, and I know many in this province, who would have rathered that a second attempt had never been made. But folks, a second attempt was not only made, it was an overwhelming success. From the time of that second attempt in 1904, with the introduction of 2 females and 2 males in the Howley area on the west coast, we now have between 120 and 150,000 Aussies, better known to us by its Indian name, moose, on the island of Newfoundland. From the time of this second introduction, the moose spread rapidly, and by 1920, they were found in great numbers as far as 50 miles from the Howley area. And by 1935, they covered most of the island, with the first sightings on the Avalon Peninsula in 1941. There's so many moose now, of course, they're starting to invade our cities and towns. We often hear of moose right here in the capital city in St. John's. Newfoundland has the highest population of moose per square mile than anywhere else in North America. And some reports say in Roddington on the Northern Peninsula, they have the highest population as anywhere in the world. Now that's not bad. Such a great, healthy population of moose from so few numbers. It has raised some questions on genetic bottleneck. However, that may be a story for another time. Suffice to say, Newfoundland has a very healthy population of the world's largest deer. Now the moose is a solitary animal. However, in summer we may find several around ponds and marshes feeding on the aquatic vegetation. They also feed on broadleaf trees, shrubs, and grasses. Their range in the summer is very small. Only about 100 acres, 100 square acres of moose will stay all summer. During the winter, their dietary staple is basically balsam fir, but they will also feed on bark from other tree species as well. And in areas of deep snow where there's favorable feeding, we may find many moose gathered together in what they call a yard. The breeding season, or the rut season as we call it with moose, starts around mid-September and goes about the end of October. And during this time the bull is very active and aggressive and will range much further than its normal habitat area in search of a breeding mate. After a period of 245 days, the cow gives birth to a 30-pound calf, somewhere around the end of May, early June. And this calf will stay with its mother for a full year, and then she will banish it just prior to giving birth again. Now, a few other bits of information about the moose. They're very good swimmers. They have very poor eyesight and rely heavily on their acute sense of smell. They roam all day long. However, they're most active in the evenings at dusk and dawn. The male sheds its antlers every winter and starts growing new ones in the spring, and they're full grown by August. Of course, the older the moose, the larger the rack, as we call it. The larger the rack. Now, the question these days, of course, is this: is the moose a valued addition to our wildlife here in this province, or is it a pest? And if it's a pest, what should be done? And does one outweigh the other? The moose pumps approximately $100 million into our provincial economy each year. This is mostly from tourism. A booming hunting season from mid-September to late December is a major contributor here. Other provinces and states offer moose hunting, but none can come close to the success rate of what we have right here in Newfoundland. This year marks the 80th year of a moose season in this province, and tens of thousands of local hunters will be in the woods this fall, hoping to bag a beast for their freezer. However, the big money comes from big game hunters from the United States and Europe, who come and will drop as much as $5,000 and $6,000 for a 6-day hunt. Wait lists for these trips are 2 years and beyond. A large part of this money goes directly into our rural economy, goes directly into the hands of Newfoundlanders, thousands of Newfoundlanders. And it goes a long ways to substantially supplement their annual income. So it's really not that difficult to tell what side of the argument these people would be on, a pest or a favorable addition. But to thousands of other Newfoundlanders, they are a pest and they wreak havoc. Those who've been involved in moose vehicle collisions, those who've lost friends or family members, lost their lives, or were seriously injured in some of these accidents. There are approximately 700 moose vehicle collisions in this province every year, and that seems to be rising with the population as the population rises. And people are starting to demand that government do something about it to curb these accidents, to reduce them. Some of those suggestions are, well, there was a petition just presented to the legislature last fall with 20,000 names, demanding that the government increase the licenses, put up wildlife fences, clear brush on sides of highways. But a lot of people saying that's not enough. There needs to be a major cull of the moose population. Some are suggesting we have multiple kills per license. We have year-round hunting near highways. Each year there are 70,000 plus applications for moose licenses, and less than 30,000 applications are given out. Some are saying give everyone who asks for a license to shoot moose. Let's call it. But those in the know, wildlife specialists and scientists, both in and out of government, say this won't work, not in the long term. But they do say nature may soon be having an effect on the moose population. They do feel now that maybe it's starting to level off a little bit. There are some signs in the higher areas in the Northern Peninsula and Central Newfoundland that the birth rates are starting to level out, if not fall. But folks, to many of us, the moose is a beautiful animal, and we're proud to have that animal in our province. People are saying drivers need to be more aware. They have to slow down and pay more heed to the warning signs. They have to realize that accidents in all aspects of our lives can be prevented, and that it can happen to us as well. It can happen to you. So that's just a little bit of history on the moose, how it came to Newfoundland. A little bit of information about this majestic animal itself. I've spoken a little bit about how it contributes to our economy and the effects there and the benefits. I've also talked about the havoc it can wreak on our highways and byways. And I've given you some insight on what some people are thinking should be done to deal with this issue. What I haven't done is given you my personal opinion, and I won't do that here tonight. You be the judge.